Hello everybody. I'm Jérôme Gaillet. I'm the co-founder of l'Institut du Commerce Connecté, a French digital think tank, as you can see with my accent. And I'm happy today to welcome our great speakers about this panel, very special panel, where data and creativity meet. And we will also speak about love. So first speaker, Mel Edwards, in the middle. She's the EMEA CEO of Wonderman. So Wonderman in EMEA is 40 markets, 80 offices with more than 3,200 staff. And she's, of course, very influential in her industry. Now I have on my left Yanis Kotsiagouridis. Sorry, almost great. So he's a native Greek, but he lives in Dallas. He's the Global Chief Analytics Officer for Wonderman worldwide, and he has more than 18 years of experience in CRM analytics. And I have also Vincent Druguet, who is a French guy from Wonderman, based in Paris, and he will also give us some testimonials about what's happening here in France. And of course, last but not least, Didier Farge, you all know Didier. Didier is the president of the Conext events. And now, Didier, let us start with you. Why this theme as a conference? How can you combine love, data, creativity? Tell us about it.
I'll start in English and then I'll switch to French. Sorry, guys. Yes, it's really a hot topic, as we can say. To match love and creativity, data and creativity. And as an example, coming back from the DMA show, where one of the major keynote was a guy from Deloitte who tell us about creatives loves data. Et je continue en français. Donc, cette conférence extrêmement passionnante a montré qu'on pouvait bridger, croiser, matcher les données traditionnelles, les canaux digitales, l'audience targeting. Et en fait, cette personne a créé un modèle d'intégration des data pour permettre aux créatifs d'avoir des campagnes beaucoup plus personnalisées. Donc, c'est un sujet qui est vraiment un sujet d'aujourd'hui et c'est pour ça qu'on a créé ce panel. Donc, je voudrais conclure par How to use data to fuel more emotional creative experience. How about human? That's a key question. Et c'est ça mon introduction.
That's our subject. Thank you. So let's start. Mel and Yanis, that's your turn.
Okay, so I'm going to go and sit over here because unless you guys are planning of throwing tomatoes on me, there is no reason to be behind the castle. So I'm just going to be here on the front. So data and love. How many of you think those two things go together? Probably very few of you. So I'm here today to make the case that data and love actually are pretty much connected, because when you're solving for data, what you're actually solving for is you're solving for love. And I'm going to explain why is this relevant, and why is this relevant especially in today's environment where you can actually build brands and people and love. So I forgot the clicker, super important. So all of you here have dated. And if there's anybody who hasn't dated, don't tell me, because it's sad. You're friends. You're supposed to be love-oriented people. So all of you, I'm sure you had a date in your life. So think about it. What if that date you went out with, and I guess this is not moving. Oh, it's moving faster. So how would you feel if you were on that date and that person never shared anything intimate about them with you? How about if that person never remembered anything you told them? Let's say you told them that you're working in advertising, and every time you met them, they always ask you, what is that you do again? How about if that person was slow like me, and things were not moving where they were pressing anything. So let's see. Okay, it's killing my flow, but is there a better way of doing this? Okay, what if they never introduce you to family and you've never met anybody they know, you never met their friends? What if that person asks you to go over hoops when you ask them for something? What will happen? And what if when you talk to that person, it was always about them and they were never available to talk to you? I bet you if that was what happened, you would probably did not want to date that person. So think about it for a minute. What happens, and although brands want us to fall in love with them, from the moment we meet them and every other time after that, they really behave like the people that we don't want to meet. This is, I'm sorry guys. Okay, so they really behave like the people that we don't want to go out to a date with. So if you think about that, all of us here as humans have figured out what it takes to have a relationship. We all know what we need to do. And it's really about time for brands to do exactly the same thing. So I'm here to make the case that because of data and because of the cloud and the ability that the cloud can provide for us to create memory for brands, because of machine learning and the ability that machine learning can create for all of us to make better decisions, because of neuroscience and the ability that it can provide with a new field of marketing neuroscience to understand people's emotions, we can actually create brands that have intuition and that have emotion, and they can anticipate the same way that humans have emotions and anticipation and can create long-standing relationships. So I'll leave you up to Mel to talk to you a little bit about what we did.
So I think the world of brands building stories that are generic to consumers is a little bit old school. We would see that as old school. I think there's absolutely a need to build brands and have brands engage with consumers. But I think the idea that they have a story that touches everybody and everybody in the right way, the world has moved on. Yeah, I'm being told off. And I think from our perspective, what we're seeing and what we are doing with our clients is that we need to create stories with consumers from those brands. So it's completely reversed. So a lot of those individuals now want to create their own unique experiences, be those in the physical world, being those in the digital world, on social platforms, with those brands, rather than the other way round. And we call that wantedness. That's our strategy about wantedness around consumers and brands and the way they interact. So we thought about this for a while and thought, so how do we really understand how customers, consumers are interacting with brands these days? What are the brands like Uber, other brands that I guess are new companies? What are they doing that's making those customers love them? And is that something that we could apply to older brands? Is it specific around certain industries? Is it specific around certain generations and age? And even to a certain degree, different countries. So we looked at creating a survey. We looked at creating a survey of 2,000 people that went out in the UK and in the US for individuals from 20 to 65 to find out a little bit more about why certain brands are winning versus others. Blue.
I do have an expectation that brands need to push a little harder to give me what I want, because some brands do such a good job of it. The leaders in any category, they kind of set the expectations that everybody else needs to follow.
Speed and efficiency of Starbucks and Amazon have set the standard really high for any type of shopping experience.
The second someone truly innovates, gives me more information, delivers it in a new way, caters and curates that experience for me, I remember them and I remember that experience and I want to see it in other places.
It's definitely setting the bar really high, and I kind of want to expect that from everyone, but sadly that's not true.
I want a picture, I want a video, I want an in-depth review. I want to know everything.
I think my expectation is that the best brands give you more information. You feel more inclined to pick that brand over others.
It's about personalization. They understand your needs and they actually respond to those needs. They don't just fit their narrative to your story. It makes me feel respected, it makes me feel valued, and it makes me feel cared for, I guess. I do want that sort of looked after feeling.
I do want a brand to know me, but I also want them to know and to back off, to just like sort of sit back a little bit. I appreciate that they want my experience to feel seamless. You want to feel cared for.
I want brands to care about doing a good job.
Something as simple as taking care of your customer means the world.
So what was, let me make sure we don't play this again. So what was interesting in the study is that when we look at gender, when we looked at geography, when we looked at other socioeconomic components of the study, because it was about 2,000 participants across 2 countries, what we realized is that the findings of the study were not actually different based on these characteristics. So consumers feel about almost the same when it comes into major elements of what constitutes wantedness and what constitutes loves between them and the brand. One of the major findings, 9 out of 10 people, basically, when they compare your brand, they don't compare your brand in the category. And that's a very big insight. So if you think you are a bank or you are an insurance company or you are a retailer and your customers are comparing you to other retailers or insurance companies, you are completely wrong. What is happening is your consumers are looking at you based on the best experiences they have across categories. So who you thought your competition is, it's actually not. So that creates a completely new dynamic. So think about it, Amazon has basically mastered what it means to deliver something across the world on time in your door by giving you the ability to make that transaction seamless. Same way that Starbucks has mastered the idea of creating a consistent experience regardless if you are enjoying your coffee in Shanghai, in Paris, or in Bogota. It's the same experience regardless where you are. So if you are a retailer, if you are a bank, regardless of how big or how small you are, consumers are still expecting that you are going to deliver that product with zero cost for delivery, especially in North America. They expect that their return back is going to be free, and they want to make sure that the experience they get is seamless, and they don't care that you are 1/100th of the size of Amazon. Their expectations as consumers are exactly the same. So let's go unpack some of the other insights we saw and also present some quick examples of what companies are actually doing to address those. So 9 out of 10 consumers, they basically want brands to share their values. And this is more about actually sharing values, which means knowing your customers so that you can share the values, versus having a brand that has a purpose. There is no better example than CVS. I don't know if you guys know, CVS is one of the biggest retailers, pharmacy retailers in North America. So CVS's purpose, and the purpose they wanted to share with their customers, was the idea of helping them get better and get healthier every day. So how can you do that and say that this is your purpose when you actually sell tobacco? So what they decided is, they decided that they needed to align their purpose and their values with your customers, with their customers' values. So they decided to take a $2 billion a year hit on their revenue and take out all tobacco products from their store. $2 billion hit in revenue. So what they then did is they did a study a year after that. And what they realized is that they actually sold, or they could have sold, 95 million tobacco products that year. And in the markets where they had more than 15% of the market, what they realized is, because they took out the product from the shelves, the entire market has seen a reduction in tobacco products of 1%, and there was a 4% increase on people using smoking patches to stop quitting. So they actually had a positive impact on a health important issue for the market they serve. So the third thing we realize is that actually consumers want brands that they care about them. 8 out of the 10 consumers, they want really brands who care, and the care goes more from not just the delivery perspective, but actually going above and beyond, going the extra mile. So how do you do that when you are a brand like Cell that has 43,000 stores, it serves 30 million customers every day, more than 200 billions of liters, and you have 150,000 people as your front personnel? How do you do that? How do you care about your customers? What you do is you use technology. So what they realized is, that they needed to be able to find a way to serve better, and they started integrating technology in their cars, where now when you are at the Cell store in many places in America, in the US and in EMEA, you don't need to get out of your car to pay for it. The car rolls in, someone puts the gas or you put the gas, and then you roll out. The payment automatically happens. So if you have a baby that's sleeping on the back, you don't have to take the baby out and go inside to make the payment. If it's raining, or if you don't want to give up your credit card, you don't have to do that. So that's an example of a brand that really cares and understands their customers. A new standard of service is what consumer expects. And consumers expect a new standard of service because it really can help you redefine an entire business. I don't know how many of you are familiar with T-Mobile, which is a telecommunication company in North America, but if you actually look at what they did, is they basically completely revolutionized what offering telecom services means for the market. They went in and completely changed the standard of service. Contracts, gone. Paying for data when you're listening to music, gone. Paying for data when you're watching a movie, gone. Having the ability to travel around the world and use your data plan without extra fees, welcome. So those things really created a new category for the market, and these guys went in from an acquisition target to actually redefining themselves as the Un-carrier, as someone who's completely different. And yes, other brands can follow, but they're not genuine because they're actually copying someone else. So think about that when you think about your own brand and what can you do in order to be able to completely change the way you service your customers. And finally, the last thing we saw is that consumers expect to have a frictionless experience. And what frictionless means is not just getting something at your door on the right time and being exactly the right thing you order, but really something that can take the complexity out of your life and help you have a more easy life, especially because our consumers today have more complex lives than ever before. So a classic example of that, if the screen is going to move, is Sephora. What Sephora did is it realizes that there is a lot of friction on how people make decisions. So what they did is they used technology to eliminate that friction. Has nothing to do with delivering the product. It has to do with helping people actually make better choices and better educated choices. So now you can take the screen of your smartphone and point it at your face, and the Sephora app, it will create an ID on how your face looks like and what are the right makeup and the right products that they're designed for your face. And if there is a picture of someone that you like in the magazine, you can put your camera on the face of that person and it will tell you all the products they're using, all the products that you could use to look like that person. It will not give you the bill of the plastic surgery you need to do to actually achieve that, but it will give you some very good recommendations. So that's an example of a brand really delivering something that eliminates friction. So think about that. Think about all these areas we talked about as a new way of creating love. And you would tell me, yes, I get it, but I am not a premium brand. Well, love is not always premium. Sometimes you have love forever. Sometimes you have love for one night. Sometimes you have love because of convenience. Sometimes you have love that you're never gonna repeat again. So think about it. The core component is that you need to own that love between yourself and the brand. I think it was my last page. So how does it all work? So Mel, tell us how does it work?
It's really interesting, actually. I was with, I was on a panel yesterday, and one of the clients, which is an online furniture store, he's head of customer experience, and he was saying to me, you know, I want people to fill in online surveys so we can understand how to improve the experience. And I don't understand why people aren't constantly coming back to us and giving us feedback. And my response was, well, once they've bought that item of furniture from you, be that a sofa or a bed, and they've had that love, maybe for one night, in their minds, they've had a really good experience and, you know, and in their way are loyal to the brand. What they don't need is maybe an ongoing relationship for 18 months or 2 years with you, because in their mind, they are loyal. It's just in your mind, they're not loyal because they're not telling you something every week, which I think is an interesting point about the relationship you have with the brand and the customer. So what we thought we would do now is show you 3 examples of work that we have done with companies across our network. One is out of our London office, and then we have 2, one out of our Copenhagen office in Denmark, and then one from North America. And they really bring to life, I think, how we have looked at bringing data and creativity together. I think one of the key points that we absolutely always talk about with our clients is how technology enables that, because you need some form of platform to bring that to life. So the first example is News UK. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of News UK. It's a UK publication business. We have the Times and the Sun. And under the Sun umbrella, we do a lot of work for fantasy football. I know you have fantasy football here. I must admit, I put my hand up. I'm not a football expert. But what I do know is that they had a sub-brand, which was Dream Team. They had an audience that they knew loved fantasy football, but what they didn't know was how to engage that audience with fantasy football and actually create a community, and off the back of that, create revenue. And so we worked with the client to understand insights around those audiences. And I think rather than me speak, I'll show the film and hopefully that will bring that to life for you. Oh, oh it's going to show. We're going to show it. Yeah. Let me see if I... No, it just went to the next. No, it went to the next.
In England, football fans swear a lifelong allegiance to a single club. But when they play Dream Team, an online fantasy football game, they build their ideal football squad by selecting star players from other clubs, including rivals they hate the most. To understand how often this happens, we analysed the Dream Team data from previous years, including registration information, in-game behaviour, club allegiance, and every selection and swap made through the season. Over 1.2 million transactions to discover everyone was cheating on their team. For example, 76% of Chelsea fans picked footballers from Spurs, their most hated rival. 2/3 of Spurs fans secretly picked players from their sworn enemy Arsenal. And 92% of Crystal Palace fans didn't select any Crystal Palace players for their Dream Team. This data became the idea for our integrated campaign to promote Dream Team and recruit players, letting them know they're not alone and showcasing the stats of how many other fans are living with this guilt in silence. The key data featured across the campaign, including films showing guilt-ridden fans desperately seeking help, 28 print ads across national newspapers, digital media, and direct mail to members of real-world football clubs, in which we matched our data to each member so their packs featured their team scarf and the relevant Dream Team statistic. Then, throughout the season, we matched live Dream Team data with the on-field action of real-world games to create reactive social content, like when star player Yaya Toure played poorly and over 9,000 Dream Team participants immediately dropped him from their squads, despite claiming to be his fans. But our story doesn't stop there. In just 3 weeks, the campaign reached over 4 million on Facebook and more than 12 million on Twitter. And despite the introduction of the paywall for the first time in 20 years, the campaign achieved over 630,000 registrations.
So a really lovely example, I think, of how we've taken data and fused that with creative. And when we worked on that campaign, when we came up with the overall... the data team and the creative team actually sat together and worked on that as one team rather than separate teams. And it's still being held up. We keep having to try and beat that campaign every year since we launched it in 2014, and it's still our winner for the Dream Team, and still the love idea, right? You know, it's not cheating when it's your Dream Team. Adidas is a client of ours that we have had for over 5 years, and that was very much a relationship that started around wanting to understand their customers better and build a relationship with their customers, particularly for a lot of their products go through a franchisee. So how could they understand their customers in all of the markets that they're in, and therefore become more relevant and more unique and create a more personalized experience for those customers, and ultimately drive a stronger relationship and more sales. So one of the first things we did was think about how, first of all, we collect that data, because they they had pockets of data everywhere, but nothing that was pulled together globally. And then how we created that seamless customer experience across all touch points, be that in the store, be that through communications with Zen, through digital experiences. How could we create that joined up customer experience? So, and one of the key tasks for us was to build that audience, because we use technology to help us build the platform and technology to help us with analytics and insight. But with that, obviously, comes a cost. And what we needed to do was have enough reach and pull enough audiences in to enable us to do that. So today we have probably 130 million customers on that global loyalty program. It's probably actually more. And the goal is to get to 250 million by 2018. We drop in markets on a monthly basis. So I think that goal is absolutely still achievable. And so the key things that we looked at pulling together was firstly building a database of customers, understanding how to engage with those customers, thinking about the specific segments and the profiles of those customers. And one of the really key things for us, and we talk about this a lot with clients, we don't always talk about creating campaigns. We talk about creating content and content blocks, and sometimes we talk about creating the right recipes for our customers, and what's the right recipe and content for that individual, rather than more a broadcast campaign that might go to the mass. And within that, then, what's the framework for that content? When's the right time to speak to somebody? How do we speak to them? Where do we speak to them? And then, on top of that, what's the relevant communication that we know is the optimum way to connect with that individual? So the first thing we did when we collected the data is we built up, because bearing in mind we didn't really have anything, over time, we started to build up that profile of that customer. So all of the different interactions that individual have with Adidas, be that on the website, be that when they go in store, they would fill in a voucher. We would take all of that data and build it up so that we would have, if you see down in the bottom corner, an understanding and a really rich understanding of that individual at an individual level. Not segment, but individual level, which enabled us to create communications to that individual that have become really sophisticated in the way that we speak to them. So this is Celine. Celine lives in Paris. And we know she loves running because she's told us that. We've seen that in the products that she buys and what she's told us when she's filled in vouchers, or she's told us in the communications that we've sent to her. And what we're able to do is create content blocks that you see on the left that we pull in that are personalized to Celine. So, for instance, we know the events that are local to her area that we can invite her to. We know the product Celine is interested in, and the next best product that we can push Celine in terms of what she might be interested in buying. We know what she's going to be interested in terms of the celebrities and the sponsorship deals that Adidas have done and that will be relevant for Celine. And we know what data we have and what data we still need from Celine. So we're always pushing and asking a little bit more from Celine, and in return, what she gets is a far more personalized experience with Adidas. So that's Celine and her personal communications. And bearing in mind, we have over 130 million customers. We can go down to an individual level if we have the data to this level. And we also can do it around passions. So thinking about love again and how we connect, we create not only individual communications to like Celine, but we can go down to, we can take category, so this is football, and we can create personalized communications for football. And similarly, We can create campaigns for specific products within Adidas. So this is the originals.
And Mel, what do you mean by LP?
LP as in?
P, you have YouTube, and LP, what do you mean by LP?
Yeah,
Landing
sorry,
page.
yeah. I was thinking LP, I can't remember. Yeah, landing page. So all of these content blocks, which we call content blocks, we can pull in and we can adapt. So we can take content blocks from originals, we can fuse those with football, we can fuse those with running, and we have millions and millions of pieces of content that we pull in and then send out to that individual. And what we've tried to do is make this as easy as possible. I would say it wasn't easy at the beginning because we had a huge amount of work to do, and we have learned from our mistakes and we've learned what works. So where we are now is we have a global team at Wonderman that sits in Copenhagen and pulls all of this together, manages the database, manages the technology, manages the analytics, and pulls in content from not only the individual products, but content from all of the markets as well. And our philosophy is very much you create once and deploy as many times as you can, because therefore you're getting from a return on investment perspective, rather than doing one email to one segment, you're actually creating one piece of content that you can potentially send to millions and millions of customers. One of the other key things that we do, which is really moving into machine learning, is how we test. We do huge amounts of A/B testing. We look at the different wording around call to action, so we know even on subject lines or where to place the call to action, what works. Every single thing we are always testing. So we can test call to actions. We think about the optimal day. We also think about the optimal hour. So for an individual, when we're going down to think about Celine again, we know when is the optimum time to send a communication to Celine, be that via email, be that through Facebook, through that mobile, whichever means we know Celine will engage us with. We know when's the best time to send her something that she will, and she has the time to open it and understand it and communicate with us. But I touched upon this earlier. You know, it's not, this stuff isn't easy. The idea is that it would be super simple. You've got your content, you've got your target groups, you can send out, and you make lots of money. But in reality, what we have created is a huge amount of sophisticated modeling, a huge amount of understanding, and a process whereby we are as seamless as we can possibly be. But it has been a journey over the last 5 years to get there. Oh, it's coming. Yep. And you won't be surprised to see that, and this is a slide that I could put up for probably all of our clients that we do this for globally. So I'm not sharing anything that we don't have for all of our clients. And the types of results that we get for this sort of personalized communication is up to 30 times greater when we go down to an individual level with content, with relevant communications, and with relevant communications going out to somebody at the right time. We are driving return on investment of up to 30 times more.
Very well, thank you. Another example we wanted to present is around Nike. And the example is around twofold. One, how do you understand the individual and all the data they create, especially as today, more than ever, they connect with telemetry and biometric information through devices they have to understand the individual at the holistic level. And then how do you take that information and create actual retail experiences at the store that can talk to them? And more importantly, how do you look at this coherently, not just from a marketing perspective, but how do you take information out of your fulfillment center, out of your events, if you are a brand that does events like Nike, or participate or sponsor events, and how you connect all those things to create storyline, a creative storyline using data that actually provides a service and eliminates friction on someone's life. So you need to start with understanding the individual, and understanding the individual based on every single interaction they have with you and every single interaction they have with their passions and with other consumers. So this idea that consumers now create data not just only by interacting with the brand, they create data by having devices that they interact with the brand automatically. So think about if you're wearing a Nike Fuel Band, what does it do when you connect with the brand? Your loyalty connection, events that you participate, and using all the data to connect them to data that seemingly might look that it's not related, but the reality is you can create relations. As an example, the weather or the season that you're in. So understanding the individual data, their passions, and then what time of the year you're in and what it means if you are a runner, as an example. So we came in designing an experience by understanding the individual and their customer journey. So if you look at the journey by itself, you have all these components of how you interact with the brand. You look up in the corner, you sign up, you buy something. We now know that you are a runner. We know that you run X amount of miles per week because you probably training for a marathon, because other people who run like that participating on events. So we now know that and we can predict it. And we also understand that it's winter and the last shoes you want and you train were summer shoes, so we can make recommendations. And when we send you the shoes that you order, we can then make recommendations about events that you can participate. So this idea of constantly understanding you and trying to serve you across all your touch points is what drives differentiation and creates this moment of knowing you and actually serving you. So think about that. If I know you're going to train on a marathon and I understand how much you run because your fuel band connects to your loyalty program, and I know that the shoes that I send you are good for 1,000 miles and you already done that, why would I not ask you to make recommendations on ordering another pair of shoes so that you don't have issues with your feet or you don't have some type of injury because of the equipment you're using? And then if I do that, why I cannot offer to replicate that order every time so that can automatically come to you every time you reach that 1,000 miles of running? So this idea of serving by understanding data and understanding consumers is becoming more important. It's becoming that something that actually our customers are expecting for us because they know they're giving us data and they want to see value coming out of that. This is how basically the duty of care came up for Nike, for our Nike proposal. And this is how it all manifested when they wanted to introduce a new product in the market. We wanted to use the data we had through this process to fuel an experience at the store. So the product was introduced, people could go in, sign up to make an appointment, and when they showed up at the store, we were able to push this information for the person who is meeting the individual for the appointment and understand how do they engage from a sports perspective, what are the implications from a product, and the product was a women's bra. What does it mean for a fitting perspective? Let's go and see the video of that experience. Uh-oh. Can we play the video?
usually terrible at like choosing bras in general, and the fact that she took the time to even figure out what my proper size is.
I've never been fitted, especially for a sports bra. I kind of just usually choose my own.
I don't think anybody has ever fit me for a bra, so I think I've been wearing the wrong size, but I think I definitely found my size today.
It's really soft, comfortable, form-fitting. You can just wear it by itself, and it's still very flattering on like whatever size you are.
I feel like I would be comfortable going in just the bra to the gym if I wanted to, and I don't have to worry about any slip-ups. This is actually the first bra I've ever had that I can say like it's amazing.
So as you can see, you need to liberate the data and the analytics and bring them in front in the experience at the store. This is an example of how this is possible by connecting and understanding the customer across their entire journey.
Okay, thank you very much, Yanni. It's very impressive. Before asking Vincent how it works in France, because you are a worldwide company, but if he has some testimonials on French brands, French retailers, it would be very good. One question, is it your technology, Wonderman technology, that enables that, or it's technology from the market?
So we don't create bespoke technology. We absolutely use the technology of our clients, or we help them find a technology partner. So for Adidas, it was Adobe. But the thing that we do create that is bespoke is accelerators that sit on top of that technology.
Okay, so Vincent, tell us about the French reality.
Il n'y a pas de French reality. Je vais parler en français, Mel, hein, je suis désolé. Ce qu'on a vu là, c'est des choses qu'on sait faire aujourd'hui en France, hein, évidemment. Je vais vous donner deux exemples. On a parlé de love, et donc finalement de get me to get you, know me, de la capacité à comprendre et analyser les consommateurs de manière à leur délivrer des expériences personnalisées et les plus à propos. Je vais vous donner deux exemples. Un exemple d'un retailer, Ikea, pour lequel on travaille depuis 3 ans. Et on gère tout Ikea Family et la base de données des 8 millions de consommateurs qui, jusqu'à il y a 3 ans, on envoyait massivement des newsletters et des emails à tout le monde. Et on a travaillé sur cette base de données, on a travaillé sur la connaissance des gens, sur les segmentations, qui sont, ce qu'ils veulent, leur sorte d'intérêt, les comportements, la capacité de détecter également le fait qu'ils soient dans un projet, dans une cuisine. Par l'achat d'un simple produit, on a la capacité de savoir dans quel projet on est aujourd'hui. Et depuis 2 ans, on met en place de la personnalisation. Et aujourd'hui, ce que vous recevez chaque semaine, on a des millions de combinaisons comme Adidas avec des contenus qui viennent automatiquement se construire en fonction de qui vous êtes. Et ce qui permet de faire progresser à la fois le brand love, parce qu'on ne t'envoie pas du contenu sur la salle de bain alors que tu es en train de penser une cuisine, et puis du business parce qu'on crée de la pertinence et donc on crée de la conversion. Ça, c'est un premier exemple, mais ça peut marcher aussi bien sur des marques de type FMCG. On va parler d'un Danone. Ce qui est assez rigolo, c'est qu'on a fait une campagne récente sur Actimel. Et Actimel, aujourd'hui, est vendu à des gens plutôt adultes pour les enfants. Et on avait une problématique qui est comment je vends du Actimel à des jeunes. Et on a vendu l'idée à Danone de dire on va vendre la chose complètement différemment. On est allé sur Facebook, on a travaillé avec les datas de Facebook et avec Facebook. Et on a essayé de comprendre, exactement des archétypes de consommateurs. Je vais prendre un exemple. Un consommateur, on a appelé les consommateurs de type rappeur, urban rappeur. Qu'est-ce qu'ils font? L'objectif était le matin, Kick Off the Morning était la signature de Actimel. Comment j'essaye de les intéresser à Actimel? Et au lieu de créer une campagne pour tout le monde, on a créé 6 campagnes sur 6 archétypes qu'on a analysés en termes de comportement. Et on a créé 6 vidéos pour ces gens-là qui n'apparaissaient qu'entre 7 et 9 heures du matin et qui leur parlaient à eux. Donc une vidéo d'Actimel avec des rappeurs dedans en claquettes chaussettes, incroyable. Et donc, de manière à ce qu'ils puissent regarder le message, et ensuite on les retargetait pour aller acheter de l'Actimel. Eh ben, écoutez, en tout cas, quand on parle de pertinence marketing, les taux d'engagement vidéo ont dépassé tous les standards FMCG, et on a vu entre 10 et 20% de croissance de vente sur ces populations-là en magasin. Ce qui démontre qu'à partir du moment où tu comprends tes consommateurs et que tu communiques avec eux de manière extrêmement personnelle, tu crées du brand love et donc tu crées de la conversion. Donc aujourd'hui, tout ce qu'on a vu là est tout à fait faisable. Ce n'est pas UK, US only, hein, pas du tout. On est capable de faire ça ici aujourd'hui.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time to terminate this panel. Thank you very much. Great speakers, very nice presentations, and above all, a lot of learnings. I think we have learned today that brands must reinvent themselves for sure. They need to exceed expectations, as you can see on the screen, because this is now the norm. Okay, this is the standard, and now we see that consumers don't only expect services, they also expect emotion and love, and data can, of course, help that. Yanni, you have shown us how we can activate data and technology and make sure that you address the right message. It's true in the US, it's true in London, in the UK, but also on the French market. So thank you very much, and big applause for our speakers today.